Good morning. It is 7 a.m. on a Sunday. I have barely slept and I'm gonna go to Governor's Island and run a 5K. Ross is coming too. I've never actually been to Governor's Island before, so this should be really fun. But it's early and I'm tired. Oh, and our car is here in 1 minute, so let's go do that. Let's spend a Sunday together. Let's go run this 5K. Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new, my name is Hannah and I live in New York City with my husband Ross and our cat Rory. I recently started running just a few months ago and we are headed to my second 5K race ever and my first time visiting Governor's Island. Exciting stuff, so stick around. The line to get on this boat is really long. TBD on if we're gonna get on or not. The only way to get to Governor's Island is by ferry. No trains at all go there. It's got its own special ferry that leaves out of Lower Manhattan. There's also a ferry that goes from Brooklyn from either Pier 6 or Red Hook on weekends and holidays in the summertime. We used the Manhattan ferry to get there and took one of the Brooklyn ones back to Pier 6 to go home. These are separate from the New York City ferry system that I take a lot in my videos. These are operated by Governor's Island. We're here. We just made a long trek over to the porta potties and now we're going to get Ross's race bib. I already have mine because I'm an NYC Runs member and they mail our bibs, but Ross isn't a member, so he has to pick his up. I didn't mean for that to sound like snobby girl in high school, but it kind of did. Ross isn't a member. He has to pick up his bib, but I have mine. I'm aware that this would be a much more beautiful run on a nice sunny day, but I am so glad that it is not bright and sunny. The weather feels okay. It's a little humid, but it's not hot, so that's good. You guys, I was so worried about the weather for this race because the weather app has been saying for like a week now that it was going to be sunny and like 82 at race time, but as you can see, it is not sunny and it's about 76 degrees and there's a great breeze going. Like, this is good.
The amount of ice cream that we have, by the way, in that field for you at the end of the race, just outstanding. There are fruit bars, there are ice cream sandwiches. Please don't eat all the ice cream sandwiches. I get one.
It's really hot now. We did it. I am so sweaty and unwell. I pushed really hard at the end and now I feel like I'm gonna like pass away a little, but we did it. We've got the ice cream to show for it, and the sweat, and the tears, and the blood. So on our way back to the ferry to go home, this park ranger was like, hey, you guys want to go inside this fort? And who's gonna say no to that, right? So we went inside this old Revolutionary War fort called Castle Williams. I grabbed several shots of the info plaques around the fort, so just pause the videos on those frames if you want to read them, but I'll tell you a little bit too. During the Revolutionary War, a British maritime force captured New York. In the early days of independence after the war, the federal government constructed a series of forts in the harbor to safeguard New York against future attacks, including Castle Williams. After its construction in 1811, Castle Williams became the most visible example of forts in the New York harbor, along with 2 additional forts built on Governor's Island as well. Over time, the forts played less of a role in protecting the city and evolved into a major U.S. Army headquarters by the 1870s. By the 1930s, it was home to over 3,000 soldiers, officers, and their families. The fort was also used during the Civil War as a temporary prisoner of war camp that housed up to 1,100 enlisted men at a time, while nearby Fort Jay, also on Governor's Island, held captured Confederate officers. Both were temporary stops before the prisoners were ultimately taken to Fort Warren in Boston or other prisons around the country.
It says, share your thoughts about Castle Williams. Someone wrote, this must have been the best prison ever. Music, baseball games, awesome.
Oh, God.
Yikes.
So we're on this different ferry that is not the NYC ferry, but it's not the ferry we came over here on either. It's a ferry that's operated by Governor's Island on the weekends, on holidays only, that goes straight to Brooklyn Bridge Park. So that's easy for us, but look at it. It looks so different than the regular ferry. We're walking home right now, and I just hit 20,000 steps at 11:30 in the morning. No more movement for the rest of the day. Well, hello. We've had a lapse in time since we last spoke. I took a nap. And it was the best nap I've ever taken. I don't take naps a whole lot. But I was only asleep for about an hour, but I was horizontal for more like 2.5 hours. And it was fantastic. Ross and I just laid down and watched some YouTube, and then he fell asleep and I was reading a book. I read my book for a little while, and then I fell asleep and woke up and he was still asleep, and I kept reading my book, and now we're here. So I'm ready to talk about the race a little bit now that I have had some sleep. First of all, how cute is the shirt? I love the color and the little ice cream cone. It's like a sweat wicking material for running. So I don't usually run in short sleeve shirts like this. Usually it's a tank top or like a big t-shirt like this if it's cooler out, but I don't know, like fitted t-shirts always just kind of bug my arms, but I'm gonna try it because it's so cute. So as you can see here, this was the Manhattan Ice Cream Social 5K and 10K. The 10K was not today at the same time. The 10K was yesterday. As you also saw, it was on Governor's Island. It's kind of embarrassing that I have lived here for 5 years and had never been over there, but it was a really pretty run, a mostly flat course, except for at the very end, there were hills at the end. So if you're newer here and this is like the first video of mine that you're stumbling upon, you might not know that I am very new to running. I have only been running for a few months. I started running in April. Today is August 4th, and I ran my first 5K on June 18th. So on June 18th, I ran that 5K in 39 minutes and 46 seconds with an average pace of 12 minutes and 48 seconds. And today, a month and a half later, I ran this 5K in 39 minutes and 5 seconds with an average pace of 12 minutes and 34 seconds. So I shaved 41 seconds off of my total time and 14 seconds off of my average pace. So yeah, that whole thing was really fun. I'm glad I did it. It being an ice cream social 5K meant that there was in fact ice cream at the end. So I pretty much had ice cream for breakfast because it was like 9:45 and I'm eating an ice cream sandwich. And that was the best ice cream sandwich I've ever had in my life. I don't know if it was actually a particularly good ice cream sandwich or if I just needed it so bad in that moment. But I'm kind of struggling right now because I have not had much coffee today. When I woke up this morning, it was just too early. I just wasn't wanting to consume anything. So I only drank a tiny bit of coffee. I'd love to have some coffee. I kind of want to make one of those little strawberry lattes that I made in my last vlog. I have decided I'm obsessed with those. But also I ate ice cream this morning. And a latte, like, it just feels like a lot of dairy. I don't know though, I kind of want that though instead of just like regular coffee. I don't know, we'll see. Hi, I just turned the camera off, but then I remembered that I wanted to tell you Ross's pace too. But then I pulled up the results here, and I just need to tell you that the fastest person ran this thing in 16 minutes and 46 seconds. His average pace was 5 minutes and 24 seconds? How is that possible? I mean, there has to be just something genetically different. I don't feel like I could train to do that. Anyway, let me look up Ross's time. Okay, Ross ran this thing in 34 minutes and 9 seconds with an average pace of 10 minutes and 59 seconds. So I went to make my latte, and then I was just like, I'm hungry, let's have dinner. I made spaghetti last night, so we're just having leftovers, and we're gonna watch MasterChef. And then I'm gonna have my latte as well for dessert. But this is a massive bowl of spaghetti, and I'm 500% here for it. It's so cute. I can't get over how cute it is, and it's so easy and delicious. We just watched an episode of Outlander. I don't know how I feel about it yet. It seems like it's gonna be a good show. It's not really what we usually watch, but I'm kind of intrigued about it. But we're watching it because Ross's mom said we should, because it's got really pretty Scotland scenery in it. It's set in Scotland, and we're about to go to Scotland. So we've been doing that. We're also about to get online and like book some more things for our trip. We currently don't have a couple of hotels booked. We've got the majority of what we need booked, but we're missing a little bit. We're moving around a lot, so we've had to book a lot of different hotels, but it's okay. Anyway, I wanted to tell you guys about Ross's recent difficulty getting back to New York City from Virginia. If you watched my last vlog, my last couple vlogs, I was here by myself for a couple weeks because Ross was working at a music festival in Virginia. So he was supposed to come back on Thursday night. It is now Sunday, and he was gonna fly. So he was coming from Northern Virginia, which is like a 4.5, 5-hour drive from here. He would not normally fly, but he had a flight credit that he needed to use, or it was gonna expire by the end of the month. So he was gonna fly from Dulles Airport in Northern Virginia. Flight gets canceled Thursday night. After getting delayed over and over and over, it finally gets canceled. He was at the airport for, what, 7 hours? Longer than it would have taken to drive here. But they get him on a flight the next day. It's no big deal because his parents live there, right? So his mom just came and picked him up, went back to his parents' house. It was fine. Next day, same thing happens. The flight gets canceled. Oh, and let me back up a little bit. The day before, this is a little graphic, the flight got canceled because they were already on the plane, on the runway, and they hit a bird and it got sucked into the engine and broke the plane. I'm not even joking. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Nope, you got that. You're mixing up stories.
Wait, what? I thought that was the first day.
No, we weren't on the plane yet the first day at all. The first day, there was a mechanical failure with the first plane, and then the second plane that they got flying in from somewhere else sucked in a bird when it was landing, so they had to check it out before we even got on the plane and decided that it was no good.
I thought you were on the plane and it hit it on the runway.
No, it hit it on the way in.
I can't remember anything. Anyway, yes, so that's what happened the first day, right? Second day, you were on the runway. You were on the plane. And you might remember, if you saw my last vlog, it wrapped up with me doing a grocery haul, stating that I almost got caught in a storm. Well, that storm shut down the airport here. And the flight got canceled again. After I filmed that last little bit, because I was like, oh yeah, there was the storm, and I was putting my groceries away, and I was like, but Ross is gonna be here soon, yay. And then I turned off the camera, and I even turned it back on and was like, okay, actually, I don't know if he's gonna make it. I'm nervous now because of the storm, but I didn't put that in to the last video. I was like, I'm just gonna leave this out. That video is long enough. Flight got canceled. At that point, they were going to put Ross on another flight that was at 5 p.m. the next day. All of these flights have been at 5 p.m., right? I've decided you don't want to fly from DC to New York at 5 p.m., apparently. It's cursed. So Ross is like, no, I'm gonna get to New York some other way. I'm not doing this again. So the next day he gets on a bus at 3 p.m. and gets here. That Saturday. Yesterday he got here at like 8:30 last night. But out of my own curiosity, I looked up the flight that he would have been on, and when I tell you it got canceled again. Canceled. He had 2 flights in 2 days canceled, and then the next one that he would have been on if he had opted to do so also got canceled. I have never in my life had a flight get flat out canceled. That's not true. I have once in my whole life had a flight get flat out canceled. One time ever. And it happened to Ross twice in 2 days, or, 3 times in 3 days if he would have been on that next flight. Like, that is ridiculous. Delta Airlines, you have been going through it recently, and I thought you were okay now, but that's rough. That's rough. Also, there was a really pretty rainbow a minute ago, and I took a really great picture. Look at it. Then we spent the rest of the evening researching and booking things for our trip before heading to bed early. Next video is a packing and preparing vlog, and then after that we're heading to London, so make sure to subscribe if you're into travel content. If you enjoyed this vlog, please give it a like for me because it really helps a ton, and I'll see you soon.